All right, we are joined today by Rhys Darby, talking among a bunch of things, but let's focus on Our Flag Means Death, which is on HBO Max. I think I have this right. Currently, as of speaking, 6 episodes out right now, and I think there are 4 more to go. I do believe I have that correct.
That is correct.
This is I can't believe this is like words that I'm saying, and I feel like it's a laugh for you guys too. It's a pirate workplace comedy.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it hasn't been done. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pirate workplace comedy. Loosely follows the adventures of real-life Stede Bonnet, a former British Army major and sugar farmer of the 18th century, who through a midlife crisis or midlife revelation opted to leave his life behind to launch a career as a pirate. For those who maybe haven't watched, I've watched, I think KenJac's watched as well. What can you tell people to expect if they're going to dive into these first 6 episodes of Our Flag Means Death?
Well, you kind of summed it up nicely there. That's the kind of story, but it's definitely a fish out of water. This guy definitely, I think, had a midlife crisis, but also it's set over 300 years ago in a time which was the golden age of piracy, where guys were out on the sea because they had to be, and they had no other way of life. And so they were fighting to survive and going up against the crown, and it was a revolution of sorts, and it was a time when there was a lot of books, a lot of writing coming out about this kind of stuff as well, and then we look at this aristocrat, this wealthy man in Barbados who had everything, but everything given to him, never had to lift a finger, and part of that life means that there were no risks, and he really didn't even get to feel anything. And he had so much time on his hands that he would read constantly. That was his big problem, really, because he was an avid reader, and he fantasized about what was going on, which was this piracy out at the sea and the adventure of getting out there and escaping. And so he dreamed about it, and then realized, hang on, I could do this. I could buy my way into this world. And so he just did, and he actually bought the ship. He got it rebuilt, purpose-built library put in there for his. So when he was escaping, he could even escape from the escape by reading. Once he was escaped from his dull life, and he just took off in the middle of the night. And he took all his wardrobe with him. So he is ridiculous because he's just used to looking good and wearing these fine fabrics. And
what do you call it, summer linens in that one episode? Yes, it's summer linens.
Yeah, exactly. And so we've taken a true story and we've built upon it and added a bit of flourish to it. But he really did run into Blackbeard after getting severely wounded, and ended up in the Republic of Pirates, and then Blackbeard, who was the ultimate terror of the sea, the ultimate pirate, who really was coming to sort of the end of his tether at that point in his life, because as we see in the show as well, he's bored. Like, people are just scared of the name now. If you see the flag, you head off because you're going to die.
Because it means death.
Yeah, exactly. Our flag means death, don't yeah. So, he's really intrigued by this ridiculous gentleman that should not be in that world. And, at first he sees an idea of how to get out of his own predicament and, steal the identity of Stede Bonnet and go and do something else. But in doing that, the two of them actually start bonding and realize they've got a similar background with regards to their fathers and how they ended up being where they are now. And the show's quite clever because we do a lot of flashbacks, and we see that although I said it was a midlife crisis, there is something deeper going on there. And, they explore that with each other, and they realize, hey, we could be friends, and then it goes from there.
You mentioned Blackbeard, played by this unknown comic, Taika Waititi. Your friend, though, and people are starting to learn who he is. You mentioned, though, something that's nice. You get to work with him on camera in this a little more than I think usual. That had to be, and I've seen you mention interviews, but that had to be just an absolute blast and even more reason to do this.
Absolutely. I mean, we've worked together for a long time, and he's usually on the other end of the camera, and I'm used to that, and we have the same sense of humor, and we've done a lot of live stuff as well in New Zealand, and we have done some TV acting alongside each other, but always comedy, and we love to improvise. We love to, jump off the script and see what else can come up. And when we do it together, the magic really happens, and we're able to hold straight faces somehow and just laugh hysterically on the inside. Usually, sometimes we do break, but so having him there was a huge support for me, because this was a big lead role, and normally I'm down the call sheet and the numbers, so I can come in, be funny, and then go back to my trailer for a few hours. But now I really didn't get any trailer time on this. I'm like constantly working. I'm like, I'm exhausted. So his energy was great to sort of keep me going. And then there was the dramatic pieces that we did together. So these characters, when they find the deeper sides to them, and how kind of tormented they are. There's some moments where we had to really dramatic act, and that was fun because we hadn't done that before. And we found that we ended up giving each other a high five as we wiped away the tears that we'd created from some ridiculously deep scene. So that was really, really cool. I'm glad that I couldn't ask for a better mate really to have alongside me on this, particularly because he was directing as well on the first one, and I got to see how hard he is to direct, because directing a director is probably a little tricky, especially when he's like, "You sure you want to do that angle?" But yeah, it was fun.
I saw in an interview with the two of you guys, and I believe the creator of it, one of the EPs, David Jenkins, said it was described as a hard to move genre, which I thought was a really interesting way of putting it, because it is like it's pirates.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. It is what it is.
You're in this confined so what were the challenges for you, kind of reimagining and giving kind of a different because they're very much pirates in this, but it is definitely pirates in a way that we haven't seen pirates.
Yeah, that was it. That was the trick, was, no eye patches, no R's, and, even no me hearties. I don't think certainly not from our crew. And you've got the juxtaposition of Stede Bonnet, not really appropriate for that world anyway. So we had a good head start with him and the outfits that they put on me. I mean, I was walking in high heels half the time, these dainty man boots that definitely tripped over some ropes. But so I felt different, and but at the same time, we had a ragtag fleet of people that were for the most part comedic thespians. There's not too many brutish guys, but we're portraying sort of a mixture of both, and it was about sort of showing the emotions that we don't often see on these pirate things. It's such a masculine world, and to kind of flip it on its head was a joy, because I don't think any of us really thought we were going to be turning up and just doing a lot of sword fighting and that, because it's just been done so often. And when you look at Pirates of the Caribbean, that franchise, which is a fantastic franchise, very Disneyed, but I watched that with my kids before I went on this journey. And we loved every minute of it, but I knew that we'll be doing something slightly different to that, because you can't just do the same thing.
I'm curious how, I know that's a great way of diving into the micro of it, but on the macro of it, how interested in pirates were you before signing on? Because I saw you at an Instagram of you as a kid in full pirate garb.
That's my son.
That's your son? Oh, I just saw it and I was like, oh wow, this guy really loves pirates.
Yeah, no, my son definitely. That's my little guy who's in the show actually. He plays young Stede in the first couple of episodes.
I had no idea. That's
flashbacks. Crazy. Yeah, so he's always been into pirates. In fact, when I was a kid, but when he was a kid, I painted on his set of drawers. I hand painted a pirate ship, and I just when you're a young dad and you're putting all the effort into making your son's room look perfect, and I was still proud of that. I think we still have it. So yeah, it was a destiny for him, but for me, not at all. Not into the pirate thing. And it could be a New Zealand thing. We weren't so hot on pirates back there. For me, I was more about knights and castles.
Fair.
Ninjas, definitely, and then and anything Star Wars related, really, sort of like that kind of stuff. But having said that, watching pirate stuff, I guess I get it, and I like the fact that we've turned it on its head, because that's more interesting to me. And it's also
I have to interject about the Star Wars thing, because now that gives me a little lead in to say it. Have you? I mean, you're going to have to be in Taika's Star Wars movie,
True.
Right? Is that
the talks are in place? We were just going to assume it.
I mean, you'd think, but it's nothing is being said, and that's honestly, I'm just sitting here waiting. But look,
I'm not saying sever ties as a friend, but
right? I know. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
So someone asked me how to describe the show, and just wanted to what's it like, what's the energy like, whatever, because they hadn't watched it yet. And I think I described it as it's gently funny. It's not bombastic in your face, like one liner.
Yeah.
It's very quietly and gently funny, and I always find that very interesting because it's just not what I'm sort of used to when I watch any comedy. But I really, really enjoyed that aspect of it. I'm curious, what drew you specifically to this project and how they were going to do it?
It was the story, and it was working with David Jenkins and Taika. Obviously, I knew that we were going to make something really interesting and funny, and I knew we were going to be able to go off the script. And I didn't know how huge this was going to be, because we got there and there's this giant pirate ship built on a set. It was life size, and it rocked. And then the costuming was just absolutely fantastic. I'm like, okay, there's a bit of coin thrown in the kitty here. So it's we had to raise the game. But it was also working on I knew it was going to be an ensemble cast, and those are my favorite shows, because you literally get a crew yourself, and from people from different places of the world, and with all like-minded, comedic idiots, really. So it was fun. Yeah, I was, and also it was pandemic. I'm like, I'm not turning down jobs. You got an email comes through, you got to say yes.
You mentioned the big sets and the ships. I know you guys worked on the LED screens. Was it very? I don't know if you're aware. Like The Mandalorian, for example, they kind of have popularized the volume, right?
Yeah,
it's this big. That's what you guys. Is that what you guys filmed them? Or?
Yeah, we had a smaller version of that, but yeah.
How did you have any for those who don't know, the volume is just it's just big 360 LED screens. They've done Mandalorian. I think Jon Favreau for The Lion King too. But did you have any doubts about it? Because it looks incredible, but we were whoa, this is a little different.
Yeah, no, I think it really sort of you start to realize why this show is possible, because and you think, why hadn't this been done before? And it's because being out at sea, ridiculous, hard to shoot, everyone gets sick, and dealing with weather. I've done a couple of boat things, and I made this movie called it was called Pirate Radio, and it's the Richard Curtis,
The Boat That Rocked,
Boat That Rocked, which is the proper title in the UK. and sometimes you guys can't understand that or something. I don't know who's
that's tough too. I didn't even understand what you just said with that now. I was like, what is that?
Weird, right? Rocked? What do you mean? What version of the meaning?
The syntax
rocked?
Doesn't work here.
Well, there's music and it also rocked. No, I'm not buying that. That's too many meanings. So that movie, so we were out on sea for a couple of weeks on that one, on that huge ship, and which was just the greatest time ever, by the way. And then suddenly Richard went, all right, we've rebuilt the entire thing on a set now, so let's go back there, because it was just hard. It's hard shooting out at sea. And so then you look at this and you see this technology is perfect for this. So we've got the set, we're on this boat, it's rocking, it's creaking, on the pirate boat, and then you look out at the LED screens, and it's crystal clear. You're looking at water, you're looking at islands and things like that, and it's moving as you're moving. It's you could swear that you're on a boat. And so then you start to realize, oh, okay, now technology's caught up with us. We can make this stuff, and look how beautiful this thing turned out to be. I mean, it's
right.
It's I still look at it now and I think, wow, how did we do this?
Yeah.
So that's the magic of Hollywood for sure.
What was your favorite, or what do you think was the funniest moment to see? Because I would say, funniest moment to film, rather.
Yeah.
So, I think for me, as far as the point we're at right now, I think the scene that made me laugh the hardest was the entire gag about the pyramid scheme.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It killed me. Actually, I Instagram messaged Jenkins after it, and I was just like, that was an absolute stroke of brilliance. I'm dying at that. But what for you was the funnest moment to film out of what we've seen so far through, I guess, episode 6?
So on that same episode, we had Kristen Shaw and Nick Kroll, done up. They were like lovers as well as siblings, and it was so dodgy, and just the amount of craziness that happened on that episode. Taika really let loose with his character and did all this improvising, and I just have to stand there next to him, kind of sort of being upset because I know that he's going to go down. These guys, don't trust them. So that was a lot of fun, and dressing up the way we did and acting that way. But for me, every day there were scenes that I'm just trying to push the limits. One of them was on the rope ladder. You don't see much of it, but I was on that rope ladder doing some real good physical comedy for about an hour. I felt like, just like, this will be great, look at this. And people were like, oh my God, he's going to fall off. We're going to lose him. But, you know, I'm used to doing physical comedy from my stand-up and stuff like that. And then really any other scene where it's just Taika and I and we can improvise, which some of those closer moments, those ones when we're out on a treasure hunt together and we have a little fireside chat, stuff like that, were the funniest bits for me because we just crack each other up.
That, I think the episode you mentioned is actually one of the great moments I think is sort of defining of the show, was like when you stood up for Taika's Blackbeard and you're just like trying to like, you know, help him because he didn't understand the world he was getting into. Yeah. I think that's a great moment of like friendship and bondship, and I think that kind of encapsulates the other version or the other big aspect of the show for sure.
Yeah. When I suddenly my character gets a backbone and he can actually do something for, you know, one of the most fierce persons out there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was cool. It was a cool turn.
How liberating is it to work with something like an HBO too on a comedy, especially a series that's so more expansive? Just because, like, especially on, it's like HBO is one thing, that's like streaming as well. Like, is it just more freeing for ideas? Do you just feel like you can bring more to the table?
Yeah, and you've got to have power to do that, you know, and so having the creator David there and having Taika there, and then even having me there to a slightly lesser extent, being able to go, let's try this, let's do that, and everyone around you, they're willing for you to do that. Now, when I first worked on HBO with Flight of the Conchords, we had that right off the bat, and you know, we were young and fresh, and we weren't anybody back then, you know. The Conchords had a little bit of something, but that was my first TV acting role. And I remember Taika, who directed some of those episodes, we all got in a huddle at one moment and said, can you see how much money's around us from those Americans with HBO stuff? And then, what are we going to do? Let's just make something up. Let's just completely change the scene. You know, and so, and we sort of would give each other high fives. It's like, you know, these little Kiwi guys against the world, you know, and you know, luckily we had something and we pulled it off. But those band meetings back in those days, they were just the funnest thing ever. Mm-hmm. And I knew a lot of people going, "Are you going to do some band meetings on the pirate ship?" But you know, there's that aspect to it where you're in an authoritative figure that really has no idea what he's doing, but gets away with it just through his presence. Mm-hmm. And so I love that idea, because that. Fake it or make, you know, fake it to make it. Yeah. That thing is so true, and you will fall at some point. And even Taika and I looking at each other, going, "When are we going to fall? When are they going to realise that we can't act or direct?" But it hasn't happened yet. So
I think it's for our benefit more than anything else. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You're on a good run. We're going to talk about some other things as well, but I want to ask our Flag Means Death reminder: 6 episodes on HBO Max. 4 more to go. Funniest person. You have to pick one. Mm-hmm. Funniest person on set during production of this show. Who was
on
it?
Set? You mean not in the
off camera? Like, let's say.
No, off. No, during. Yeah,
I mean,
anyone could be on or off set.
Yeah, Ewan Bremner, who plays Buttons,
yep,
is ridiculous. Just you look at him and you can't. I can't. Everyone just cracks up. And then. Obviously, Matt, who plays Black Pete, he's very funny, mm-hmm. And he likes a good ribbing as well. It's, you know, it becomes a group where we're ribbing each other, and we've all got little funny things that we connect to and that we know we can crack each other up about. Dave Farnay as well is on there, he does quite a few projects with Taika and I. He's another Kiwi guy. So yeah. You said pick one. I've already, you know, it's too hard. We're a family, so there you go. I've picked quite a few.
It's like picking your favorite child. Yeah. You can't do it.
Yeah. Joel as well. Joel. I'm going to have to mention them all now. You know, Joel Fry. God, man, funny as hell. And of course, you know, Taika would kill me if I didn't say he was the funniest. So there you go.
He's pretty solid. Speaking of Taika, we'd love to talk to you about What We Do in the Shadows, because I think that's a comedy for both of us, and the 2010 to 2020 bracket of comedy movies is easily one of the best by far. It is unbelievably funny. I'm assuming from your end, was that like one of the funnest sets to be on or funnest projects to be a part of?
No, not at all. I was angry and annoyed doing that movie because it was like part of those scenes, if you look at them, the werewolf ones, always in the middle of the night. One of them was 3 a.m. and I wasn't feeling my best. I was angry. There was no script, and he just said, this is what you got to do, okay? The vampires are going to come up. Want you to get all your werewolves and make sure they're going to, because the moon's coming out, they've got to attach themselves to trees and just do what you do, Rhys. And so I just did it. So what you're seeing there is me frantically being me, pissed off and trying to get these guys, sorted out before the moon arrives. And that's, they've got the wrong pants on, they're coming up to me. I think Taika just told them, or Jermaine, who was also directing it, said to them, just go up to Rhys and just annoy him with these things. And they did. And they came up and they said, I can't, my lock's not working or whatever, remember that bit. And so I had to, I guess in some ways I'm at my best when I'm, have to deal with that stuff on the fly with no words, and so that what you see there is me truly annoyed and in a hilarious way.
there's no wiggle room with filming as a werewolf outside. It's got to be night.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing.
3 a.m. call time is not fun, I imagine.
No, I remember waiting around for hours and hours. I think I had a cold at the time, but look, the results are, it was worth it. It was worth it, man.
I think there's one line you have in it that I think most people take away from this, which is werewolves, not swearwolves, which is unbelievably funny. I remember the first time I watched it, I was in tears laughing at that whole sequence, but specifically the line. Is it a show, or a movie rather, where you watch it, could you ever consider the impact it would eventually have? Because, you not only have an amazing movie that only raises in relevance because more people are watching it, but you got 2 great spin-off series out of it as well, which is insane. Yeah,
no, not at all. I mean, I to be honest with you, when we were doing that and when we finished and we saw an early cut, I'm like, oh, this is terrible. This is not gonna, and then there was more editing. They added more werewolf stuff. I had another look at it. No, it's a bit better. You just have no idea, and then you put it out there, and people just absolutely love it. And that werewolf thing. I mean, I could never tell anyone that was going to be a hook line. But here we are.
It's unbelievable. Now they're doing it in What We Do in the Shadows, the series too, with their werewolf bit. I liked your werewolf a little bit, or your werewolf bit a little bit more. But man, it was unreal.
Yeah,
I know.
The OG game.
Tyga says him and Jermaine joke about all the time too of doing a werewolf movie too, and it always comes up, and it's like their running gag they say every year.
Yeah, that's been around for a while. I like that they came up with the title Werewolves. I mean, come on. But
of course,
will it ever happen? Who knows? Yeah.
All right, I think we should go into what we've been doing it recently. We interviewed Randall Park 5 minutes before you came in, and we gave him the same group of questions. We call it a 6-pack, so it's going to be 6 rapid fire questions. You can give any answer, any speed of answer you want, though. So, first question, very tough one. What's your favorite junk food?
I'd probably go hamburgers.
Not cheeseburgers?
No.
Not a cheese
fan. I mean, I don't mind cheese if it's on there, but instinctively I would drop the cheese.
So you have a stand-up bit that's very funny about the Transformers and how the movies don't accurately represent the struggle that you go through in order to get them to actually transform. But what was your actual favorite toy growing up? Or what do you think the best toy was?
Wow, that's a good question. I loved my Transformers. Because they were expensive, and my mum could afford to somehow get me, I think I only had 2, and one was the jet plane one.
Oh, Starscream, right? I think.
Yeah, I think that was it, Starscream. I also had one of those ones that you pull back, and it goes, and then it flips up.
Love those toys.
Oh, those ones are cool.
Yeah, and then it was standing there, and I was fascinated by that. So I loved that. But if we don't choose, other than Transformers, my other favorite toy would definitely be obviously the skateboard. I was a big skater.
Really, would not have expected.
Yeah, thank you.
Unreal.
The old toys that you would pull back.
Yeah.
And then you always have that moment where you hear it click 2 or 3 times. You've broken past
that's
the wheel.
The one.
Now,
yeah, that's when you let it go. Don't pull it back too far.
The clicking.
You think you're supercharging, you're just breaking it. Yeah,
you are breaking it.
What's funny too is knowing you're a Star Wars fan. I wish you could see Jeff's apartment at his home because he has this massive collection of Star Wars toys.
Wow.
You would not believe, and they're all on display. He's got the Kenners. He has all the original stuff.
That's amazing. By the way, I had a lot. Action figures were my other big thing.
Yeah.
So I had all those as well.
Oh geez, I think we just lose our laptop feed. All right, we'll just have to power through.
We got a man down.
We'll have to power through the rest of it. So, The next question, you get the green light to make any movie you want. You can create and star in it, about any real life person, so we'll go in the same vein as Steve Bonnet. Anybody you want, who do you choose?
Oh, that's a good one. Let me see. I would do Sir Edmund Hillary.
Is that the guy? Don't tell me this. This is the guy, not the North Pole, not Everest. Everest,
yes,
yeah.
Okay. New Zealander.
Yeah, it is New Zealander, yeah.
To conquer Everest, yeah. There's been a few little movies made about him. And there's another chap also we have in New Zealand called Richard Pearce, and he invented flight. So he was
Wright brothers. Okay.
So basically, there's a big debate. He was slightly before the Wright brothers.
Yeah.
So I'd love to make that movie because I think it would spark a bit of interest. Do you remember that film, World's Fastest Indian, about the motorbike?
Oh yeah.
So that was also a New Zealand story.
Oh.
So it could be similar to that in that kind of vein. But this guy was an inventor, and in New Zealand we have a lot of people that just sit in their sheds and create stuff because I guess life is a bit boring back in New Zealand. So that we've got really inventive minds. So I'd love to get that story out there too.
I've always wondered why there wasn't more movies in mainstream about Anzac in general, because like the contribution of Australia and New Zealand to like both world wars. It's Anzac, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but like Gallipoli, there was like one Mel Gibson movie about it. Like
there hasn't been enough of those either, especially like in our contributions in the other wars as well, like Korea and Vietnam.
Exactly. People, it's something that could definitely use more. Next question, what was your worst heckler moment? You've had a very long stand-up career.
Yeah, one of the worst heckles I ever got was just someone yelling out, "Say something funny." So I'd be doing my stuff, it'd be a story, I'd be maybe playing a character or building something up, doing some sound effects, and then it was tell us a joke. It's like I don't have jokes. I'm a performance comic. What you're watching, this is funny, and so you can never please everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't often get heckled because I've got a lot of energy on stage, and I like to think I'm sort of captivating in some way, and whether I'm doing an impression or a helicopter noise or telling a story. But when people are drunk and they just want to walk away with a one-liner, some idiots like, just tell us a joke. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have that.
I think one of the worst things you can do is either that or for some reason force a plane to have to land or go back to their original airport. Those are like two of the worst things you can do. I think as a person, just make everybody hate you immediately.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Next question: is there a role that you auditioned for or really, really wanted but didn't get?
Yeah, I think so. There was a TV show. I think it was called. It was about an alien anyway, and it was here in the States. Might have been called Neighbor or something like that.
Okay.
And I was sort of in the running for this. I thought I'd be perfect because I get all these alien roles. I'm so outer worldly in my sensibilities, but I didn't get it, and I would have liked that. But the things that you don't get, you're not meant to get. You know, and then you see something later on. You see the person who gets it, and you think, oh yeah. Oh, another one was The White Lotus.
Really? Oh, another HBO show.
I was supposed to be. I was auditioning
for the manager
in the running for that guy that was, the one who shat in the suitcase.
Yes.
So thank God I didn't get that. But I was peeved because I thought I'd be great. And then I saw the actual guy. He was so fantastic. Mm-hmm. So I thought, oh no, he's doing a good job. And then when I saw what he actually had to do, because you only see the little bit of the sides.
Yeah.
And I would have, maybe accepted the role, and then down the track gone, what? I'm going to be known for that? So yeah, another bullet dodged.
Yeah, we interviewed that guy, and they put him on a specific diet. So when he does that scene where he shits, that's his real shit. Like he actually
get out of
it's his real poop. Like, and he told us the diet they made him go on and everything. It was crazy.
Wow, that's an eye opener.
No, I'm just kidding. It's completely.
Shit, I believe
it was a good looking shit, man. That's why it was a good one.
Perfect poo.
All right, the last question, and this is the hardest one. Mm-hmm. But will you be our first investor for a New Zealand version of Outback Steakhouse, one of the weirdest restaurants of all time? And we ask every Australian interview we have because we go through the menu and it's just bizarre. It's like Alice Springs chicken. Like Alice Springs has nothing to do with chicken. Yeah. Or like Kookaburra wings and like all these things where it's just nonsense. But I want to start a New Zealand version.
Oh, okay.
We could name it. I'm thinking Hokey Pokeys.
Oh yeah,
good, right?
That's quite cool.
Jandals.
Yeah,
could be good. Stubbies.
Yeah.
Although Stubbies beer is shorts.
They're both. So
okay.
yeah, in New Zealand they were very famous shorts.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think we can figure out a way to make it the same bizarre and dumb way that Outback Steakhouse does it, where we can do like Wellington wings. Just makes no sense. Like,
yeah. Just chuck a name on there.
Yeah,
it's from New Zealand, and then add wings. Yeah.
Can make it like Hillary something. What's something, a food that starts with H? I got nothing on that one. But Edmund Hillary somethings would be the move.
Hot potatoes.
Yeah, there you go.
Hillary's hot.
Hillary's hot wings. There you go.
Well, the wings or the potatoes are so hot you can't eat them.
Exactly.
They're like at the top of the volcano.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll think about it.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. I'll have our accountant call yours. It'll
Okay.
work out. Remember, everybody, go watch Our Flag Means Death. It is so fun and just like unique and different than almost anything you're watching right now. It's awesome. HBO Max, you got a bunch of episodes right now, a bunch more coming out to air. Rhys Darby, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.